Hello.
Hello, sorry.
How are you?
Doing good. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly fine. We are so excited that you join us here today on My Identity and My Career. Everyone, I want you to give a big round of applause, a little hand clapping emoji for Quindell Williams. And before we begin, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Quindell Williams. Most people know me as Q. I am a SUNY Oswego graduate of 2011, broadcast mass media major. While at Oswego, I did a bunch of the clubs and organizations. So BSU, I was on the executive board there as the director of marketing. WNYO, the radio station, I was also there on their e-board as the director of marketing, as well as WTOP and all the alumni organizations. But currently, I am a teacher teaching drone technology in the Syracuse City School District. Prior to that, I worked as a photojournalist in broadcasting news, where I earned 2 Emmy Awards for my work. So right now, I'm just doing my part to kind of give back to my community because I grew up in the Syracuse city area. I grew up through the Syracuse City School District, and now I'm teaching the students who I once, was a part of these classes. So glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, no, we're so excited that you're here today. I think students seeing you as a visual representation of what they can do and what they can achieve can be very helpful, especially for the topics that we're going to be talking about today. So before I get into the prepared questions that we have today, if you guys have any questions for Q, you can drop them right in the comments and we'll address them as well. So the first question we want to get into is, what do you currently do and how did you get there?
Yeah, so currently, again, I'm a drone technology teacher in the Syracuse City School District. I work at PSLA at Fowler High School, which is on the west side of Syracuse. So how I got there is, it's a I guess, funny journey. I never thought I'd be teaching. I always, looked at mentoring and things like that and volunteering and trying to find ways to be a mentor and give back. But being a teacher, a full-time teacher, I never really saw that as a career. But prior to my career now, I worked in TV news, where I was a photojournalist, and eventually I became a drone pilot, certified drone pilot for the news station. And through that, through my understanding of drone technology used for journalism, I would go into the schools and to the community to kind of educate the community on what we were doing at the news station, which kind of led me into this building where I currently work to talk to some of the students who currently are going, or at the time were going through the drone technology program. So I would come in as a professional photojournalist and drone pilot to discuss how we can use drones to further their career or their understanding of the world. And at one point, the teacher that was teaching at the time got another opportunity. And because I was already kind of coming into the building to teach what I know about drone technology and the professional field, I was called to see if I would fill this position. And, it was actually, at the time, I thought it was crazy, like what, me being a teacher. But now that I'm in it, it makes so much more sense to me now because it just kind of brought everything that I was already doing together, whether that was mentoring or, being a professional drone pilot and really trying to get the next generation to understand, what we were doing out in the field to kind of help further their knowledge. So that, again, initially it was like, I had no clue, and I still probably have no clue what I'm doing, but each year I'm learning and it's fresh and new to me. So I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that's really amazing. I think something for students to note is that as long as you're passionate about something, you can literally do anything. And that's kind of one of the things that I run my life by. As long as I'm passionate about something, there's going to be an opportunity out there for me. So I loved how you talked about, you were passionate about something and it kind of just led you on this path where you didn't quite know where you were going, but you kept going. So, I think that's a really good thing to know for students. So thank you for that. The second question I want to get into is, could you express what you feel your identity is and how that identity or those identities played a role into who you are?
Yeah, again, just going back to being a mentor, but also as a young Black man, I think we look at the world and the opportunities, we see things and that, or we see people in places that aren't always represented by African Americans, and so my identity is to kind of be someone who who's in a place that is not always represented by African American Black males. There's not a lot of Black male teachers in this area. So, I'm one of few, but, I wear that with honor because, that should be something that is a normal thing, especially in, the public school system in the city where the population is primarily, African American in terms of in the school system. Students should see someone that looks like them teaching them. And, not to say that you can't have different races teach, but students should also see that as something as a normal thing. So when I my identity also comes from the campus of SUNY Oswego. I learned a lot about myself as a Black man or a Black young male through organizations like Black Student Union or the African Student Organization or Latino Student Association, or sorry, Latino Student and all the Alana org. So that kind of helped develop my identity in terms of who I identified as, who I am, and every day I'm still learning what that means, right? We don't really have the answer, even though college is a great place to discover that. You don't really find the answers until you really seek that out into your adulthood and you're into your professional careers and kind of taking a view of sometimes you're in a building where you're one, maybe sometimes you're the only one, or you're one of very few. And so just being a person of integrity and respect and carrying that honor to bring more people in who are qualified and talented and just as capable to handle those jobs to be seen is kind of how I identify and how I try to express that identity to not only my students, but to the my peers or my colleagues or those in my community about.
I definitely appreciate that, how you talked about your identity revolves around integrity and being an integral person, meaning giving people those opportunities who wouldn't have had those opportunities before. And that doesn't even mean giving them something physically or giving them something tangible. That could be like how you went to the schools and you gave them the introduction of what you do and what's out there. That's being an integral person. That's letting them know, like, hey, this is what's available for you to grab out there. This is some of the opportunities that you can do bigger than just like marketing or like, just some other things that other people want to do. You're exposing people to the different opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely when you talk about drone technology, I mean, 3-4 years ago, I probably couldn't tell you the amount of industries that drone technology is in. But now, when I started out, it was drones in journalism, but there's drones in agriculture. I mean, drones are being used in so many facets of that,
everywhere.
People just don't realize. And so to show students and parents and families that, there's so much out there that is, and it's only going to take off, no pun intended, it's only going to take off from here in terms of the, technology kind of excelling and continuing to move on. So, my role as a teacher is to really try to find a way to get students and parents to like to understand that, yeah, you're flying drones and it's a cool, fun toy or whatever, but these are actually tools that can be used to earn enough money and earn a living. Yeah,
transferable skills. That's the biggest thing that I learned from college, is that it doesn't matter what you do or what your background is. As long as you have skills, you can transfer them anywhere. You can transfer your teamwork abilities. You can transfer your interpersonal skills. You can transfer all these different skills. So that's really cool. So speaking of society and then everyone else, how do you feel that society played a part into shaping your identity? And what advice would you give to those who are dealing with the same issues? Maybe African-American students who feel like they don't have access to opportunities or feel like they don't know how to. What advice would you give to those dealing with those identity issues?
Yeah, I mean, I think society plays a huge role in terms of, just kind of looking around and seeing what's out there for you and the opportunities. I mean, I talk about Syracuse, New York. There's a lot of poverty, but there's also a lot of people who are doing some amazing work. And you just got to figure out, what side of that you want to be on, and how do you improve that, right? How do you improve upon the things that, sorry, there's going to be an announcement really quickly. I'm in school currently. I apologize if I hear that a couple of times throughout this. But yeah, just, how do we improve on the community at large, right? Syracuse is a place that I grew up, a place that I love, that had given me a lot, whether it was positive or negative. Just seeing things in my community that I wanted to improve on, that I wanted to be a part of. When I was growing up, it's nothing else. When I grew up, I was in a lot of programs. There was the Urban League. There was, currently, there's places like I'm Point for College that I'm currently a part of that, helps students who are underprivileged, see more for themselves that they don't quite see in themselves at the time because of, certain situations that they might be growing up around. But, that kind of made me want to be a part of the positive change. What can I do to further my skills that is going to help the next person see those opportunities? I might not be the person that can get you in the door, but I might know somebody who can, all right? Or I might not be the person who can get you exactly where you want to be, but, just like I landed in a job that I didn't foresee when I was in college, you never know where that journey can take. Sometimes you just gotta just go for the ride and let it take you where you want to be or where you need to be, as opposed to where you want it. Because I don't know. I was going somewhere with that, but anyway, just sometimes take that road. Don't force things. Sometimes you'll end up in the place that you're supposed to be if you just kind of let whatever is supposed to happen for your life happen. So
yeah, and I've definitely
do the work.
Yeah, you definitely said something that we kind of talked about earlier about passion. As long as you have passion, and you also said something else about which side of the line you want to be on. So as long as you're on the right side of the line and you have a passion about something, life is going to give you these little nuggets of things that want to make you keep moving forward, like whether that's a new job opportunity or that's a higher salary pay or that's opening up a new business, whatever that is for you. As long as you're passionate about something and you're constantly working towards something every single day, you're going to be rewarded by it. Whatever that is, you're just going to be rewarded.
That's the key part there, just working towards something every day, right? Working toward a new skill, a new goal, setting those goals for yourself. When I was at Channel 3, there was a point in my career where I'm like, okay, I'm kind of hitting the wall. What is next for me? Okay. Right. So when I realized I couldn't get it there anymore, I had to seek other opportunities. But I still left that that building, on high terms. I can still walk in that door and still, feel the love from the people that I work with over time. But they also knew that there was more for me as well. So, have conversations with those, in your network, and that's key. Like your network is key. I wouldn't have been working at Channel 3 if I didn't have someone that I knew who, knew somebody in the building or knew what I needed to do to hone my skills to get into the building, right? Networking and passion is definitely key. If you have the passion, like they say, if you're passionate about something, you'll never work a day in your life. But also if you have the networking, it's just much easier to get the opportunities that you're seeking, whether it's, your foot in the door or, a much greater opportunity.
That's amazing. So speaking of those opportunities, and since graduating, how do you feel like your identity, and this is our last question, since graduating, there we go. Since graduating, how do you feel that your identity has shaped you as a professional? Like, how do you feel like it's played a role into what you do now or what you have done?
Yeah, there's, I don't know, I guess that's a very layered question to answer, but again, when I worked at Channel 3, I was one or two in the building, but, I think just me being from this community and showing my passion and, identifying as, my professional title, but someone who's really willing to do the work and put out quality work. And sometimes I was awarded for that, but that really wasn't, a big deal to me. It's just that if I was able to put out something that I cared about, even in TV news, like not only representing, in the building, but just being a representation for the voiceless or those who don't really have a voice within the community, right? People who are comfortable to share their story with you because they understand that you know where they're coming from, right? You are going to handle that story, their sound bite or their interview with the care and respect that it deserves because you understand or you identify where they're coming from and where they're going. And so I tried to, at the very least, every time I would go on a story to really represent that yes, I'm representing the station, I'm representing myself, but I'm also representing you as someone who is from the community. And even now as a teacher, telling my students that I represent you as well. I was where you once sat, right? I grew up in this school district. I understand the path that you took. I understand the path you're probably going to take, but showing you that there is a lot of opportunity out there for you. I mean, even the class that I teach now, there's free tuition attached to it, right? You can get, once you go through your 4 years of college or high school, you can then go on to a 2-year institution, free of charge, tuition free. And just kind of, exactly. Then they get the professional license as well, all in high school. So I currently have a drone pilot's license. I'm teaching students currently how to earn their pilot's license before they even graduate high school, so they can earn some type of money or compensation. Choose to go to college. That path. Choose to work. That path is because they have that certificate that choose to go. That path is there. And so I know what at least I've given.
Wow, I think that's amazing. I love how you really circled back on how you give back and how you're focusing on, okay, this is the knowledge that I have and this is what I learned and this is how I'm going to pour back into my community or the communities around me. So I think that's something really amazing. So I really do think it was a part of your plan. It was a part of, even though you didn't plan it, it was a part of, your plan of you eventually learning all this stuff and being eager to go for what you want and attain these things. And now you're at a place where you know quite enough. So now you get to pour back into other people and you get to give them the opportunity that maybe you didn't get when you were that age, or maybe you didn't learn about when you were growing up around that time. So I just think I love how well-rounded your answer was and how you talked about giving back, because that really stuck out to me.
Yeah, and that's always been, even just sitting here today, just, even if I can't reach everyone that's chatting, there's somebody out there who is something that I say that is going to spark something that I believe will help for the next stuff, whatever. Again, I used to sit in that seat on the other side of that. Like, man,
I used to be confused too.
People who, said some things that just clicked like, hey, this is what I need to do. Talk about the plan that I didn't know was my plan, God's plan, whatever. Just kind of.
This is your warning that you should be in sixth period at this point. If you are not in sixth period, you will have 5 seconds if you get to count.
Sorry.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I made a list of 18 parents to call today. 18 parents to call tonight.
We hold the students accountable.
To do it. If I have to, I will. You have 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. Don't get on my list. 1 and 0.
You know what? This is kind of like a sponsored ad. You know when you're watching a YouTube video and the ad just like abruptly comes in between the video?
Yeah, this is yeah, right. Stephanie, you mentioned like this is, you guys are gonna feel my day. It's like I'm currently, I have a break for teaching right now, but we're trying to get to where they need to be. This is a school, right? It's supposed to be a class. It's not a, so I don't feel that folks right to want them to see giving me as much as take, but the air. So that's everybody who walks in my class. I got 3 basic rules. That's accountability, be present, be on time. I feel like to follow those 3 rules to be successful in not just respect the classroom, but respect me, respect yourself, but others, and just hold yourself accountable. Right? Be responsible for your actions, no matter what actions are. That hold yourself accountable. That as far as it's gonna carry through, transferably any field you decide to go. Respect, be present, not just
Yeah, that's amazing. Oh my God. Thank you, Q. Thank you. No, thank you so much on behalf of Career Services for joining us on our Imagine 22, My Identity and My Career session today. I think this was an amazing opportunity for students to get to know more about you, what you do, and for students to get to learn more about how they're feeling and what is it that they're going through, and if they have someone else that has similar advice or things as that sort. So thank you so much for joining us today. If anybody has any questions, we have one question. I see, what is one of your best rewards from teaching?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that I teach students what they need to know to earn their professional certification at the government. And so, since for clarity, I started teaching my first year teaching. COVID hit in the middle of that. So just trying to learn how to teach, and in the middle of COVID has been an experience. But anyway, we still had some great success, and we're having great success with that. So out of 9 students who had taken their Part 7, which is their professional drone pilot's license that take the certification, out of the 9 students that I have taken to take that test, all 9 have passed. All 9 of them are current drone certified drone pilots. So I'm really excited to see that, not only are what I'm doing is working, even though I have no clue what I'm doing sometimes, but what I'm doing is working, but also to see those students really work hard and get, reach that goal that they set for themselves and be successful at that. So we're seeing, the immediate, the immediate impact of what I'm doing has been very rewarding because it's shown me that, okay, the chance to cut their chance to do it is paying off, not for me, but for those who are going to do far more greater things for back at the match. So that's very in real time.
In real time, that's amazing. I definitely do think, when we see the fruits of our labor and we see, what we're working for and what we're working towards, when we actually see tangible, visible things, we're like, wow, I'm making a difference. So that's amazing. So if anybody has any other questions, you could drop that in the chat box. But for now, I'll just wrap us up unless I see anything. Again, I just want to say thank you for joining us today for our Imagine 22, My Identity and My Career. We love having you. I think, especially for me personally, it's amazing seeing a person of color be very successful in their right and being able to verbalize the things that got them there, networking, being able to have passion, being accountable for who you are and yourself, being able to show up and show out. So I think those are very key things that I took away from this session. So again, I just want to say thank you for joining us today. If we could just put some hand clapping emojis for Q.
I just put my email in the chat for anybody who's out there who has other questions or comments, concerns, anything that, even if you're just, want to pick my brain about broadcasting or teaching, whatever it is, again, networking is key. So email is out there. I'm always available. I'll get back to you. If I don't have to answer, I'll find but make sure you utilize that. I was there, so I know how you, especially I could talk about getting ready to graduate. What the next step is. I know the pressure of that. So, but I will say it'll work out whatever. It might not be right after, but you'll find the way. So, best of luck to you, and best of luck to everybody out there for having help. That's what guys thought of. So, appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And yes, so just to say it out loud, his email is Q, that's the letter Q, Williams, which is WILLIAMS 33@gmail.com. So even if you didn't hear that, this IG Live will be posted on our Career Services Instagram and on our SUNY Oswego YouTube page. So you'll be able to run it back and listen to Q Williams 33@gmail.com. So again, thank you so much, Q, for joining us today. And we will soon see you again.
All right, thank you. Have a good rest of your day, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.